In this video, we're going to practice how to perform operations between trigonometric functions that needs to be evaluated. So in this case, we have secant of negative 11 pi over 6 multiplied by cosine of a pi over 3. Okay, so the idea in this case is that we divide this whole operation. So the first thing that we're going to evaluate is the left part, so secant. So let's write it right here again. So secant of negative 11 pi over 6. Okay, so if you know how to evaluate simple functions like this, the only thing that we need to do is draw a coordinate plane. So we draw a coordinate plane, right? And this 6 in the divisor, in the denominator, is telling us that we need to divide each pi into 6 pieces. So remember that this is pi and this is pi. So we're going to divide each one in 6. So we draw a line right here, like so, and this one like so. And we do the same in between the quadrants 2 and 4. We do the same thing, so like that. Like, let me improve this one. Like this, all right? So now that we have the coordinate plane divided into 6 on top and 6 on the bottom, what we do is we're going to take 11 pieces of that. So let me grab another color, maybe this one. Okay, and we start right here, right, on our initial position on the x-axis, and we count 11 pieces negative. So we go clockwise, right? So if I go until here, I have 6. If I go 5 more, if I took 5 more, then I have 11, right? So my angle is going to end right there, okay? Negative. This will give me my reference angle. So we know that this piece right here is the reference angle, and it measures 1 pi over 6 because each piece is pi over 6. So if I'm left with 1, then my reference angle is going to be pi over 6. Okay. What's important of doing the drawing is that now we can know the sign for that specific function. Remember that we use the old students take calculus, right? And all tells me that all the functions are positive in this case. So we know that secant of negative 11 pi over 6 is going to be positive secant of this reference angle. So pi over 6, right? Pi over 6. And pi over 6 is related to 30 degrees because pi is 180. 180 divided by 6 is 30 degrees. And for that, we can draw our special triangle, right? Or special 60, 30, and 90 triangle, right? In which we know that this base, it's 1. The hypotenuse is always twice, so 2. And the third side is going to be square root of 3. So if we have this, we know that secant from the trigonometric ratios, it's equal, let me choose the other color, it's equal to hypotenuse, all right, let me put it here and I'm going to erase it later, hypotenuse over adjacent. Okay, so if we're analyzing for 30 degrees, then the hypotenuse is 2, so we put 2 over adjacent. Adjacent is square root of 3, so square root of 3. If we rationalize this, then we get 2, and remember that we just take the square root of 2 and we write it on the numerator and we divide it by whatever is inside that root. So we divide by 3 and that is going to be our result. So we know that this part is going to be equal to 2 times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, multiply by what? All right, let's do the other part. So we're going to do cosine of a pi over 3. Okay, a pi over 3. And for this, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the same method. So we draw a coordinate plane, right? We divide it now into 3 pieces because this denominator is telling us that we need to divide it into 3 pieces. So one way of doing it is erasing this line and just put it a little bit on top and a little bit on the bottom. And even a little bit here, okay? And we divide it into 3 pieces. So this will be, we only need to draw 2 lines like this, All right. And if you notice, I have 1 piece, 2 piece, and 3 piece, right? So we don't have to do anything else. It's easier this way. Okay, so we're going to start here, right? We're going to take 8 pieces. So it's positive. So we're going to go counterclockwise. So 3, 6, right? 7 and 8. So I finish, or my angle, 8 pi over 3, finish in the second quadrant. Remember, all students take calculus. In here, it's telling me that sine is the only function that is positive. So this is going to be equal to negative. Since sine is the only one that is going to be positive, sine and his reciprocal, that means cosecant, then cosine is going to be negative. And also, we know that our reference angle is pi over 3. So let me write it here. Our reference angle is going to be pi over 3. Because since you divide this into 3 pieces, if you have 1 left, it will be just 1 pi over 3, right? So it will be negative cosine of pi over 3. And pi over 3 is the same as 60 degrees because 180 divided by 3 is 60. So 60 degrees, and cosine, I'm going to erase this, cosine, remember, is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent side to 60 is going to be 1. So this is going to be equal to negative, all right, my bad, negative 1 over hypotenuse. And hypotenuse is 2. So that's my value. Okay, my value for cosine of 8 pi over 3, it's negative 1 over 2. So in here, I'm going to multiply by negative 1 over 2. If you notice, these two numbers are going to be crossed out. They're going to cancel. And this is going to be equal then to square root of 3 times negative 1 is the same as negative square root of 3 over 3. It's the only one that is left. Remember that this division is equal to 1. So 3 times 1, it's 3. So our answer for this operation right here, this one, right, is going to be negative square root of 3 over 3. That's our first example. Let's do another one. We can do another one. Let's take this one. Sine of 7 pi over 4 over tangent of negative 5 over pi. So we have to do the same thing. So let's divide this into two steps. So sine of 7 pi over 4. So remember, we just draw a coordinate plane, right? And we divide it into 4 pieces, this denominator. So, all right, we only need to draw 2 lines like so. All right, so we're going to take 7. So, all right, let's take 7. So if I'm here, I'm going to start here. Since it's positive, I'm going to go counterclockwise, and I'm going to take 7 pieces. So if I go here, I have 4, 5, 6, 7, and I end up in that line, right? So this is going to be my reference angles, always the angle that is closest to the x-axis, and it's going to be equal to pi over 4. But we don't draw this for this, right? We draw it so we know the sign. So all students take calculus, right? And here only cosine is positive, cosine and secant. So sine of 7 pi over 4 is going to be negative, the same as negative sine over pi over 4, right? But pi over 4, it's 180 divided by 4. 180 divided by 4, it's 45. So we're going to relate this to a triangle that we already know. The triangle 45, 45, 90. Okay, and in this triangle, these two sides are equal to 1, and the hypotenuse is equal to the square root of 2. So sine, we know that sine, it's opposite over hypotenuse. And the opposite for 45 is 1. So we're going to have negative 1 over the hypotenuse that is square root of 2. If we rationalize this, we get negative square root of 2 over 2. Remember, the only thing that you do to rationalize this is negative, all right? You take the bottom root, you put it, you write it on the numerator, and you left whatever is inside the root on the denominator. That is 2. Okay, so for now, we know that the dividend, the numerator, it's equal to the negative square root of 2 over 2. And we're going to divide it by tangent of negative 5 pi. So let's do it right here. So tangent of negative 5 pi. Okay, so remember, we draw the coordinate plane. And in this case, we're taking pi's. And we know that every half of this circumference, this coordinate plane is going to be pi. This is pi, this is another pi, right? And so we're going to start taking pi's. Okay, so negative 5 pi, we go, let me write this with a different color. So we go counterclockwise because it's negative. So we have 1, 2, 3 pi's, 4 pi's, 5 pi's right here. So I finish here. Remember that when we end on a quadrant, what we do is that we use the unit circle method. With the unit circle method, it's called a terminal point. And in that terminal point, since I'm rotating on the unit circle, this is going to be always negative 1 and 0. Remember, the one on the bottom is going to be always 0, negative 1. The one on this side will be always 1 and 0. And the one on top is going to be always 0 and 1. Okay, that is always going to be the case. Okay, so if you remember, tangent for the functions is equal to, and I'm going to erase this later, y over x. Right? And the value of y in this coordinate is 0. So I have 0 for y over x. X is negative 1. So over negative 1. And 0 divided by negative 1, we know that is 0. So tangent of negative 5 pi, it's equal to 0. So I'm going to divide by 0. And we know that a division by 0, it's undefined. So undefined. Right? Or answer is undefined. If you do it on the calculator, you will probably get the answer math error or something similar. Okay, so let's do another one. In this case, we have 3 minus 4 that it's been multiplied by cosine to the power of 2 of 330. All right, let's do cosine of 330. Let's leave the power of 2 for the end. So if we have cosine of 330, we know that if we draw the coordinate plane, all right, we're going to start right here, okay, on the x-axis, positive x-axis. We're going to open the angle counterclockwise. Okay, so if we go here, we have 180. If we go here, we have 270. So a little bit more from 270. Okay, so now we know where our angle opens, right? And how much is left? What is the distance from our terminal side to the x-axis? If all this is 330, to reach 360, you only need 30 degrees. So the reference angle is going to be equal to 30 degrees. Okay, remember that this will help us with the sign. So all students take calculus. And since C means that cosine and secant are positive, our result for this one is going to be positive cosine of our reference angle, that is 30. Okay, this doesn't look clear. So cosine of 30 degrees. Okay, so if it's 30 degrees, we know that we need to analyze our problem on our 30, 90, 60 degree triangle. And here we have 1, 2, and the square root of 3. For cosine, we know that our trigonometric ratio is equal to adjacent, that it's, in this case, if this is 30 degrees, our adjacent is going to be a square root of 3. So it's going to be equal to the square root of 3 over hypotenuse, that is 2. So 2. So now that we have the value, we can solve our operation. So in here we have equal to 3 minus 4 times cosine of 330, that we know that it's square root of 3 over 2, to the power of 2, So we will put it to the power of 2. All right. This is going to be equal to 3 minus 4 times the square root of 3 to the power of 2 is 3 over 2 to the power of 2 is 4. These two cross out. So we're left with 3 minus 3, and 3 minus 3 is 0. So the value for 3 minus 4 cosine to the power of 2 of 330 degrees, it's equal to 0. This is how you do operations that involve trigonometric, evaluating trigonometric functions. Okay, so see you on the next video.